Welcome to the live. So today I decided to start a new series called Ask Stephanie. And what inspired this is someone left me like several questions on a video that I did sharing about my plant medicine journey. So instead of me just answering those questions in those comments, I decided to come on live and just answer them because they were really good questions. And so it made me think, what if people want to ask me questions? Maybe you don't want to, you're not available to the videos when I do come live. And maybe you have questions about anything really, but mainly what you know that I talk about. So, what you can do today is in this video, this live, you can leave your questions in the comments or you can send me an email and you can ask me a question through email. And it will be anonymous unless you want your name to be given. But this is just my way of giving back and being of service. And yeah, it's like if you have any questions, I will come on and I will talk about it. And the type of questions you can ask me is you can ask me about my experiences. You can ask me about relationships, parenting, money, what all the things, anything that you feel like I can give you some support and some guidance in, you can ask away. There's no question that you can't ask. So let me see if I can get to the question because it was, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? It's on my phone. I can do like this. So yeah, so to give you some reference, I did two plant medicine retreats. I was invited to two plant medicine retreats back to back, and it completely changed my life and my perspective, and it was one of the most healing things that I've done. And the main thing that I received in doing plant medicines is that it healed my relationship with my mother. This is something that I've been working on for for years. I would say maybe like when I was in my 30s, my early 30s is when I really tried to mend the relationship with my mother, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. And when I took the plant medicines, when I took ayahuasca, it showed me some things and it healed whatever residue that I had left over blocking my relationship with my mother. Ayahuasca and San Pedro helped me and helped me see things for what it really was. And I promise you, y'all, the relationship with me and my mother has completely changed, like for real. And I definitely owe it to plant medicines. hmm Because sometimes you can't see things for what they really are because of stories and experiences and your perspective, and sometimes it blocks you from really seeing the truth. And so the medicines helped me remove all that. So that's where these questions are coming from. But this person was asking me other stuff based on what I said. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so the first question. Oh, and the person that sent this, thank you for watching the video and asking very thoughtful questions. I may be able to answer them and I may not, but I still wanted to give it a go. Okay, so the first comment was, I find it interesting that you said that the ego died but what we learned was that we are the ego. And she's talking about what we learned through carbonation from Nature Boy. I'm assuming, but I know of this person, so I'm assuming that's where she's getting this from. So when you say the ego dies, what does that mean to you based off of where you're at in your learning experience thus far? Also, do you still believe that we are astrological programming? I remember a conversation that we had about how you can return to your ego if the ego dies. Oh goodness, this is a long question. Also, it's your perspective that the ego is not good, meaning like is working against us in some form versus us being our ego and acting out astrological energies that can be recalibrated based off of the knowledge of those astrological energies. Okay, that's a lot. Now you can see, I was like, I'm not about to sit here and type this answer to this person. But you see, that's the first question that this person asked me. So, and you can also share your perspective on this as well. But I'm just going to share like my perspective. So let me go back to the beginning. It says, I find it interesting that you said that the ego died, but what we learned was that we are our ego. So this is something that they say in plant medicines that I've noticed is that when you are taking these medicines, it's like it's taking you to a different dimension. So when we say your ego is your sense of self. This is how you are able to identify yourself in the oneness. So if you believe that we are all one, that and the only thing that separates us is our ego, then you can understand when someone says that your ego died, it is because now you are not making a distinction between yourself and the all. That's what the ego does. The ego is just allows you to make a distinction and be separate from the oneness of what you are. So if you've ever taken psychedelics of any kind, you can understand, especially when you allow yourself to go beyond. And people like to say they died. It is because now you have no sense of reality and you are in complete full potential. So when you are in that space, there is no you. Like you are now. You could be the observer. You could be the observer of the experience. But when you are under these psychedelics, it's a different. You can tell when your ego is still controlling it, and then you can tell when you become the observer of the experience. It's because when your ego is in it, you are resisting, you are judging, you are doing all of these things that's preventing you from fully having the experience. That's just the ego, because the ego does not want to separate. The ego does not want to go into the oneness. The ego wants to, that's why people are afraid to die, because they're like, well, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to my, that's just the ego. That's not your soul. That is your ego questioning and being in fear, because the ego wants to be separate. And if you have a better way of explaining that, please feel free. So that's how I make sense of it. So they said, so when you say the ego dies, what does that mean to you based off where you are at in your learning experience thus far? So I hope I explained that part. Because when you are fully in the experience, it's like through a psychedelic experience, it's like when you fully let go, it's like uncontrollable. It's amazing. And when I experienced uh, ayahuasca, it was at first I was resistant. I was so afraid. I was so afraid. I did not want to go beyond, because I had took Bufo the day before, and Bufo will take you straight to source. You don't get to decide. Okay. But when you come back down, now you are, I was completely aware of my ego. And that was the first time that I really got to see and feel my ego. So even though we learned through Nature Boy that our ego is a sense of self. I don't think people realize how the ego controls your reality. And the ego is not good or bad, but the ego does not, hey, Libby, the ego will do whatever it needs to do to make a distinction from the oneness, even if it harms you. So if you're not aware of that, then that's why people make certain decisions that they make sometimes. So it says, also, do you still believe that we are our astrological program? Yes, I still believe we are our astrological program, because when you are in a state of awareness, you are, the only way that you can be here is through your nervous system. Your nervous system allows you to be here, to be present. Well, your astrological program and your nervous system is the same thing. So, because when you think about your astrological program, it's really energy, and you are energy. So, until you understand your energy and your nature, you can't overcome it. Most people are controlled by it because they're not aware of their astrological program. They're not aware of their biological nature, and so but your astrological program is what the ego needs to be different, to make that distinction amongst the oneness. That's all the astrological program. Now, depending on what you believe, there are other belief systems like Kabbalah. Kabbalah said that your astrological program, but they don't use these words specifically, but Kabbalah does believe in astrology, that the astrology that you have is what your soul has come here to overcome. Well, that's still in alignment to what we learned in carbonation, is the astrological program. So the reason why you have the astrological program is because there are certain things that you must overcome to expand and evolve. So so the ego, so you need to learn. If you are going through a spiritual enlightened experience, you need to learn how to what's the word I want to use? How to, it kind of want to say overcome, but how to rise above your ego. If that makes sense. I don't, I'm trying to be very choosy with the words. Okay. So I don't remember that conversation. And then they said also, it's your perspective that the ego is not good. I don't look at the ego as good or bad. Some people do, but I understand the reason why I think people tend to look at the ego as a bad thing is because they don't understand it. So a lot of times we judge what we don't understand. So if you understand it, then you can understand the purpose of it. So the ego came here. We came here as we are light, and we came into this physical experience to experience like the distinction, the difference, but it's still light. So the ego allows us to believe that I am me, you are you, and this is all different, but it's not. It's all the same. Everything is made up of ACTs and Gs, right? Everything is energy. But the way the energy and the light refracts itself, it makes you think that we are all different. Okay. And the ego will do whatever it can do. It wants to distinguish itself from itself for the experience. Because when you go into the plant medicines, when you have a trip, well, not the trip, I don't know what they call it, when you take psychedelics, and the best way I can describe it was when I took Bufo. When I went to Source, all I felt was emotion, all the emotions I just felt. And it took over me. It was just, all I can describe it as is I went into the potential. I went into the nothingness, but it was everything. It was just like it was like one of the most intense experiences of my life. I felt everything. But when you are in this physical body, and when you are on awareness, you get to control how much of the energy that you get to experience. This is why today, most people, they run away from emotions because they don't understand what it is. But when you are in psychedelics, in the state of psychedelics, you get to feel all of that, and you lose control, and you get to feel the resonance and the energy of what you are, the light. It's a spectrum. You get to just move all through it. And some people are afraid of that. So, but I also look at it as a mirror, like in your current life, in this dimension, you got to ask yourself, how do you feel about emotions? How do you feel about feeling? Like, how do you, like, do you resist feeling? Do you numb yourself with medicine or with drugs? Because that's what's really happening, is that most people don't want to feel the energy of who they are, and so we can control it. The ego allows us to control it. But I remember when I was in Bufo and I came back, I was just like, I hate the oneness. I hate it. It was like I hated it so much because it was like I was what my ego was. Once my ego was coming back down, it was like it's like I started remembering my husband and my child, and my ego was like, what did you do? And it's like, and all the ego was like computing all these thoughts in my head. But when I went up to the oneness, none of that, nothing existed. I wasn't even thinking about my husband and my child or any of that. It was just like harps, and it was amazing until my ego was like, what the hell just happened? And then that's when my ego came back, and it was not happy at all. Okay. So meaning like, is it working against us in some form versus us being our ego and acting out astrological energies that can be recalibrated based off of the knowledge of those astrological energies. Our astrological energy is our limitation. Our ego is our limitation. Gravity is our limitation. In this existence, we are limited. That's just the way it is. This is why most people fear change. And if you look at how a lot of people think, they think through limitations, they think through lack. But that's just how this existence is. Like, we can't even get out of Earth if we wanted to. So for me, that's how I look at things. It's like I can only go as so far, but mentally I can build the capacity to expand how far I want to go. Physically, you can only do but so much physically. Like, I can sit here and be like, I want to fly. No, I cannot. Physically, I cannot fly. Now, I might can build some infrastructures that will allow me to fly, but me and my body, there are just some absolutes that we just can't do. But that's just how this reality is. And that's like science. Like, we're limited. So when I look at our astrological, the reason why I was interested in astrology, because it helped me understand my limitations. But then once I understood my limitations, now I know what I can do to expand and elevate. Yeah, that's the word, elevate. Now I know what I need to do to elevate. But a lot of times people look at astrology and be like, oh, this is because I'm a Sagittarius. I can't help myself. I'm just going to say the blunt thing. It's like, no, as a Sagittarius, you are here to learn how to be objective, how to be open minded, but still be aware of people, and also learn to have connection with people instead of just looking at them through an objective lens. It's like you can say the thing, but also learn how to be sensitive to others around you. Like, so that's how I look at astrology. It's like it's my it's how what I'm here to elevate from. Like, yes, I receive gifts. Yes, it is my ego, but you're also here to elevate past your ego, just like your nature as a female and male. Like, you are here to elevate, because just because you are female and they say you're emotional and all this and that, you and I both know that you just can't just act out of your emotions. It's very harmful. So depending on what your archetype is that you have to learn how to understand it and master it. Because if you don't, it can be a hindrance to you, especially in civilization and the structure that we're in. It's like you're not here to just do whatever you want to do. You can, but again, we are in the existence of limitations. So you will be limited with how far you can go. But then once you get that to that wall, now it's your opportunity to start again and elevate and transform and rise above it. Like, that's how I look at life. Okay. So more questions. This person have more questions. Okay. So anybody have questions or any comments? Well, I feel like you had a comment you would say. So for those that came into the room, what I'm doing is, this is called Ask Stephanie. If you have any questions that you want to ask me, anything that you're going through, it don't necessarily have to be about me. It could just be about you. But if it is about me, that's fine too. If you need any guidance or support, you can ask me the question here, or you can wait to the end and put the question in the comments, or you can send me an email, and the email is in the description box. So that's what I'm doing. Somebody sent me all these questions, so I'm just answering them to my best ability. So I gotta go. Okay, so they said they have another question. When you compare the information that you are receiving from other mentors and other sources versus the information that you have had through experience and the foundational teachings you started on, what has drastically changed or even moderately changed in your understanding? Just a couple examples will do. Oh goodness. Well, I'm assuming this person is talking about carbonation. Well, I know this person, so I assume this is what they're talking about. And a lot of things have changed for me. But I want to start with this. What I realized when I went into that situation was that was my introduction to spirituality, because I wasn't a spiritual person. I was a religious person. But then I was in that middle point where I'm questioning religion and starting to wake up to the truth, but not really knowing where to head to next, because I grew up in the church and to believe in Jesus and God in a certain way. So when I found carbonation or melanation at the time, that was like my initiation into spirituality. I didn't really know any of those things. So so when I went into that, I decided to go into it very open-minded, because I don't know what I don't know. And so a lot of the stuff that I took on and I believed is because I was new, I was open minded, and I wanted to learn. And so and that's just how I am with anything new, is that I will be open minded and I will learn what I need to learn. And then I will move on and then take with me whatever I feel like uh, fits, where I'm headed now. So that's how I look at that situation. So let's see. What are two of the I can tell you this, that, and this is recently, and I think it has a lot to do with my plant medicine experience. that I'm starting to question God. I'm starting to question my beliefs. And what does that even mean to believe in God? Like, what is that? What does it mean if I don't choose to believe in that? Like, what is it? Why do I feel like I need to believe in a higher power, or like, where did that come from? So that's one thing, because the reason why I was able to get into that situation was because of my beliefs. Okay. And so now questioning God, like, what does that even mean, and why do I choose to believe it? Just because the majority of the world believes it, why am I believing it? Why am I allowing this to be what governs my life? Do I even understand it? Or I'm just going along with it? And what if I decide I don't want to believe in any of it? Right? Like, so that's something that I am currently processing. And yeah, because I realized it's a program. I realized it was something that I was born into, but I was born into a lot of things that now I realize was bullshit. That now I realize it was just a fairy tale. You know what I mean? So it makes me, it's starting to make me question God. Like, who does anything that man created, anything that man or humans created is to give meaning to our existence. We don't have to go along with it. That was just them trying to create meaning. So then when I think of God, I'm like, man made that. Man decided on religion. Man decided on spirituality. Okay, man. And when I say man, I'm also talking about women too. So I'm just like, why do I choose? And I'm not saying I'm an atheist, but maybe I am moving into atheist territory, because I'm like, don't just believe in something out of fear. Don't just believe in something out of tradition. Don't just believe in something because you want to fit in. Like, really take the time to understand why you believe something, because maybe you really don't believe it, And yeah, so that is something that I've been thinking about. And then also something that I've been sitting with is like, I used to think like nature is everything. And something that I'm learning through is Priscilla. Have you ever heard of Priscilla, the Queen Maker? Have you ever heard that? Somebody, if you have, somebody let me know. You can say yes or no, and I'll move on. So I'll make sure I'm speaking to somebody. Have you ever heard of Priscilla, the Queen Maker? Or Professor P? Yes or no? So I'm assuming that y'all have heard of this woman since nobody ain't say nothing. All right. So I've been learning a lot through this lady. I'm in a season where I've been listening to this woman, and she has like elevated my mind in so many ways. I'm very surprised, but thankful. Her theory is, or her philosophy is that nature is actually evil, because when you think of nature, there is no compassion, there is no love. And then when you think of nature, it's especially the nature of who we are as humans. We are out of control, so we're almost like animals. So she's saying, I've also heard her say nature is the devil, but again, that's a religion perspective. But when I really think about it, I'm like, you know what, when I was in carbonation, I could see that, because he was pushing nature. And because he was pushing nature, he thought that he could do and say whatever he wanted to do, because that was the nature of who he was as a man. So even him as a nature, as a man, he believed that he could hit women, he could physically abuse women, and do whatever he wanted to do because of the nature of who he was. But you saw what happened. He did not have control within his own nature. He ended up in prison. And then you look at like the women and how they acted as well. So everyone's acting in their nature, but how far are we going to go with that? Because I believe that we are like animals until we decide to use language and expand our minds with of consciousness and self-awareness. Because without self-awareness, you're no different than an animal. So this is something I've been thinking about and processing. And like when you're just acting out of your nature, there's no discipline, there is no control, and and yeah, and there's really not a lot of intelligence. So depending on what you believe in. Now some people they want to honor nature, but when I look at people that's about nature, they don't want to work. They think everything is free. They think that we should just be outside. We shouldn't be doing anything. Like, and that's one way of living, but we are in the space that we are in. Remember, we live in the space of limitations, and that's just how it goes. So people that tend to act in their nature, those are the ones that get consumed first. Those are the ones that go to jail first. Okay. And that's why 1% of the population owns majority of the wealth, because most people are still acting out of their animalistic survival mode nature. That's what nature is. When you think about nature, nature is about survival. All of those animals in nature, they're all are trying to survive. So that's why so I can see how nature is can keep you in a low frequency. When we think about frequency, a low frequency, because when you think of survival, think about the frequency that you're on in survival. Okay, you're just trying to survive. So in nature, that's all the plants, the living things, the animals, they're doing all they can do to survive. And that's where they kill each other and eat each other. And that's it, like having sex, like procreating, and it's all of survival. So basically, what she's saying is to elevate from that to get to the higher consciousness is to get out of survival mode. So I'm like, okay, all right. I said I can take this on. So that's what I've been like looking at differently, looking at nature differently. Now I love nature. I love living in nature. But as far as like making that my identity, I'm like, what does that mean? So I'm just really in the space of questioning everything that I've believed. Like, girl, why do you believe all of this stuff? What does this mean? You know, and just taking on new information, because I realize I don't know everything. And I don't want to be attached to my belief systems, because yes, they may carried me and served me at some point, but because I do believe in evolution, it's just like in updates of consciousness. I'm like, okay, I gotta assess this and audit what I believe in. Is it taking me in a direction that I want to be? So when I think about carbonation, that was a time of my life to where I really didn't know. And so I was just curious and open. But then I realized a lot of that stuff was very male centered. And yeah, and I'm starting to be aware of what that means as well. Okay, so let's see. She got so many more questions. Okay. All right. So she asked a question about the foundational teaching about melanin restricts the heart from fully opening up to receive from other people, and how does how does opening one's heart to receive from other people in the past you individually? What? Okay, well, what I remember about melanin is that melanin, people that are on the melanin train, they think that makes them superior. But what I've learned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that melanin is just the power to the energy. Does it? So if you have an astrological program that is harmful, all melanin is going to do is make you more harmful. It's not going to make you elite. So the more melanin you have, it's going to give you power to whatever energy you have. So if you are a person in poverty with melanin, hey Michelle Clark, you're going to be the power to poverty. That's why they say look at the projects. If melanin was so powerful, why do we have all these black projects? Because that melanin doesn't make you superior or elite. The color of your skin does not make you superior or elite. Now, some people say Caucasian, and they don't got that much melanin. So, but the more melanin you have is your power in your source. So what consciousness do you have? What energy do you have? Because melanin is going to bring power to that. And she said something about your heart, because when I took mushrooms, has anyone in the room have you ever taken mushrooms? Because I took mushrooms for the first time last year. And I did Golden Teacher. And the experience that I had is that, and I took it with cacao. So it was cacao and Golden Teacher mushrooms. And that experience opened my heart, because cacao is a heart opener. And then the mushrooms did what they were supposed to do. And so in that experience, in that ceremony, I got to feel the weight that was on my heart, and it just opened. That was the first time I was in the awareness of my heart space. And when I came into the awareness of it, it's just like all the things that I was holding on to in my heart just started pouring out. And she asked the question, and it was like one of the, I could have ended the retreat right there, y'all. Was with the first day, had taken the mushrooms, and just to feel the difference between having a closed heart and an open heart. And it made me have so much compassion for the people in my life, because they never got to experience me in my open hearted self. People in my life have been experiencing me through my closed heart. And it made me really sad, because I'm like, man, like, I don't know who I was. I don't know how I've been presenting. I don't know how people were experiencing me, because they were experiencing me with a closed heart, a hard heart, a protective heart. So they wasn't even really experiencing me, and it made me sad. It made me like really sad, but then it made me happy. Like, oh my gosh. And I just started thinking about everybody in my life, my husband, my child, my mother, everyone. And I was just so thankful and just so appreciative, and just had so much love for them, because I just realized how much I lived through judgment. I realized that I was just judging them and being critical and being in fear towards everyone, and not seeing who they really are. And they came into my life for a reason, to co-create with me. But I couldn't see that because my heart was closed. And then it made me think about the state of the world, where everybody is moving through a closed heart. Majority, 99.9% of people are moving with closed hearts. I bet you watch right now, watching me, your heart is closed. Oh. And so it's like, when I thought about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, now I could understand why we can't live on this earth harmoniously with love, because our hearts are closed. We're such in fear and survival mode, and it just made me have so much compassion for the world, because it's like I realized, like, oh my gosh, if I'm moving like this, I know everybody else moving like this. So that was my experience with the heart opening ceremony. I hope I answered her question. I don't know. Okay, so this is the last question. Okay. So she said, I agree that food is frequency, and whatever frequency you want to be on the most is the type of food that you should eat all the time or predominantly. But my question is, should a person desire to stay on one frequency at all times? Or, in other words, does elevation continue to rise without going up and down the Kundalini? All right, so the reason why she's asking that question is because when you are going to take plant medicines, especially ayahuasca, you want to go on a cleanse. And they tell you not to eat sugar, salt, processed foods, no meats, no cheese, no type of animal products. You want to eat fruits, vegetables, nuts, and grains. Okay. And the reason for that is because they said that salt and sugar, it gives the ego, it strengthens the ego. So when you are going on a plant medicine journey, you want to suppress the ego as much as you can, because remember, the ego is where we judge. The ego is our limitation. The ego wants to control. So you don't want to give anything that will fuel the ego, because when you're in that state, it's a very uncertain state, and the ego is going to do whatever it can do to protect you. Of course, the ego is like, "Girl, I don't want to die. What is happening? I don't want to go back to the oneness." Like you, so the ego is going to do whatever it can do, and that's why sometimes people have bad trips, and I say it in quotation marks, because their ego is still driving, and the ego is going to do whatever it can do to protect you. Remember that about your ego. It's going to do whatever it can do to protect you. So if you are in survival protective mode in a situation, no, that's your ego. Because you don't have to protect yourself. You know who you really are. There's nothing to protect yourself from. You are equipped with everything. You have everything that you need in life. So there's no reason to like protect yourself. But your ego doesn't know that. So you don't want salt, sugar, and I think they even said citrus. It was a lot. Now, every shaman is different. Some shamans say it's okay to eat meat, and then some shamans say that no, you shouldn't eat it. And when it comes to the food situation, this is one of those things that we just ain't going to know the truth. You just ain't going to know that this people want the end all be all diet that everybody is supposed to have and eat, and this is it. Okay? That's just how we are as humans. We even though we came here to be different in experience, for whatever reason, we want to fight each other to get to the truth. This is the one all be all thing. And I think it has still a lot to do with religion, because there's only one God. It's only one. And it's just like, is it only one God? So you gotta think about your perspective and how much it has been driven through religion perspective, to where it has to be this one thing. This is the one truth. Who said? Like, where did that come from? So that's the same thing. I look at food. People want to believe that there is one diet that we should be eating. And I just don't believe that. I don't believe that there's one. I think that through your life, things change. Like, okay, like through your life, things change. And food is just fuel. Fuel is just like the energy. But there's so many other things that can affect you. So look at yourself as a car, right? You could be giving your car gas every week. You can be giving your car oil change, but that don't mean that the alternator ain't gonna go out. At some point, the freon gonna go out. At some point, the engine might go out, because we are made up of so many different things, and situations can affect us in different ways. So I don't think it has anything to do with the food. I think the food does help, but I remember when I was vegan and then when I got pregnant, that changed everything for me. When I wasn't pregnant, I could be vegan easily. Give me that beans and rice and salad and fruit. But once I became pregnant, all my body wanted was some meat. But I understand what my body was craving was fats and proteins. And I wasn't eating enough of that. And but I just know throughout that whole experience when I was pregnant, all I wanted to do was just eat hot dogs, chicken nuggets, chicken. Like all the girls there when I was around them pregnant, we all were like wanting like meat. We all wanted like protein and fats. And I know that some people say, well, you can eat the nuts and you can eat the avocados. And nah, it's not the same. Like, I'm sure it could help. But also in the situation that I was in, it was also draining me of my energy as well. So those avocados and those nuts was not enough because my energy was being drained on the environment and my energy was being drained through the child that was growing in me. So my body couldn't keep up with all of the changes that was going on. So when I left and then went to Hawaii, I knew. Oh, thank you for. I'm going to get to your question. I knew my body was like, girl, because my baby had jaundice. I was 80 pounds and I was hungry. And my body was like, girl, eat you some fish, get you some meat. And then when I got to Hawaii, I ate me wild caught salmon and some farm raised eggs. And within a week, I gained 10 pounds and my baby's jaundice went away. Now, I could have been so hell bent on the staying vegan, but I wanted to listen to my body and give it what it wanted. And it was the best thing that I could have done. Now, after I finished nursing or whatever, if I wanted to go back to veganism or vegetarian, then I would have, but I didn't want to. I didn't have the desire to do that. I didn't have that belief system because I just saw how the animal foods really nourished my body in a way that the plants didn't, especially at that season of my life, because I was giving out so much energy from nursing. I nursed my child until he was like 3 years old. So it was just like I was just not in the capacity to be even wanting to just go back to eating plants. And plus I wasn't the type of vegan that did it because I thought it was cruelty to animals. Even though I believe that, but it wasn't like that. I was more doing it for health reasons. So when you are living your life and making choices through health reasons instead of dogma, you're going to make different decisions. You're going to make different food choices. So back to what she said about shouldn't you want to do it all the time? I think that's a personal choice. I think so the reason why they want you to eat fruits and vegetables only is because that people believe that you are high frequency, right? You are high frequency, but biologically, scientifically speaking, the reason why you are high frequency is because when you are eating fruits and vegetables, they have a lot of fiber. So when you are eating fibrous foods, it's not going to stay in your body long. So technically you are high frequency because you don't have anything grounding your energy, right? Remember, you're all energy. So you don't have anything grounding your energy when you're eating fibrous foods because they're going to leave your body within 24 hours. Now, when you are eating more animal-based foods like meats, eggs, and dairy, they tend to stay in your body longer. Why is that? It's not because they're clogging. It is because you are eating foods that your body can absorb. See, when you are eating fruits and vegetables, you only can absorb 30%. When you eat a blueberry, did you know your body only absorbs 30% of that blueberry? The rest of it is waste. So fruits and vegetables, our bodies only can absorb 30% of that food. The rest of it, our body can't use as fuel. So when you eat animal foods like meats and eggs and fats, the reason why you don't poop every day is not because it's clogging your digestive system. It's because your body actually absorbs 60% of that as fuel. So 40% is waste. Well, your digestive system ain't going to be activated on just 40%. So that's why you have to keep eating. Now, this is when you only eat animal foods. If you eat animal foods and bread and all this and that, we all know gluten is a whole nother topic. Gluten is glue. But when you are only eating, like, say if you're only eating fruits and vegetables, you're going to poop that out like the next day. And then if you're only eating animal foods, you're going to probably poop maybe every 2 to 3 days. And sometimes it can take about a week. Now, we have been programmed to believe that you have to poop every day. Well, yeah, if you're eating fibrous foods, of course you're going to poop every day because you're eating more waste to your body. But when you eat animal foods, your body actually can absorb the proteins and the fats as fuel. It's not a lot of waste. So when I look at that through the plant medicine, I can understand why they say don't eat animal foods. It's because they don't want anything. They don't want your body to be absorbing a lot of things because it will ground you more. But it's not that you're necessarily clogged. It's just that you are absorbing more of that energy that's not actually yours. You're taking in the energy that's not yours. So they're thinking that it can ground you more. So eat the fruits and vegetables because you're getting nutrients, but it's leaving your body. So when you're looking at food through high and low frequencies, I can understand why they look at it that way. But I want people to understand what your body is doing so that you can understand it's not a good or bad thing. It's just this is what is happening. But when people don't take the time to really understand, then they will create a dogma around it or a belief system around it because they don't take the time to just understand what's actually happened. And so I've had the experience with it. So that's why I'm able to talk about it because I went carnivore. And the results that I got through being carnivore changed the way I looked at food versus when I was doing the plant-based diet versus carnivore. I did both of them so that I could get a well-rounded perspective. So I think that you choose to eat what you want to eat. If you want to be more plant-based, do that. If you want to be more animal-based, do that. If you want to be more whole food-based, do that. But you must look at the how your lifestyle is and base it on that. So if you aren't like someone that is high endurance and active, you don't need to be eating a lot of sugar. And in our diet, we eat way too much sugar. It don't matter if you are vegan or not vegan. People eat way too much sugar and they eat too many carbs. And most people aren't active. So there's no reason why we should be eating as much carbs as we eat because we're not doing anything. We're sitting down most of the time. So the best foods I believe for our body is the proteins and the fats because they're more I would say they're more gentle when you're eating more, not too much protein because people are like protein crazy. Like you only want to eat but so much protein for your body because protein will make you gain weight. Fats will help you lose weight. So you didn't know that. So as women, we want to make sure that we're having a healthy fat diet, whether through animal foods, whether through plants, making sure the primary food that you're eating as a woman is fats. Fats is so important. Fats are the lubricants for our bodies, for our hormones, and most women don't eat enough fats. Okay? They don't eat. So I don't care if it's plants or animals, increase your fat intake. It's actually going to help you lose weight and it's also going to balance your hormones too. And protein satiates you, but you also got to be careful because it can also help you gain weight too. So you gotta be careful with that. Okay. So let's see. I think she has one more. And then okay, so I'm gonna pause that. Okay, so Joy said, but how do you open the heart space and will it close again? Well, I don't know, Joyce. I don't know if you're still here. I don't know how to open the heart space without plant medicines. Like I've never done that before. Now people say, "Oh, do a yoga pose and drink cacao," but the golden teacher mushroom, psychedelics, is what helped me open my heart. And will it close again? I think so. I think that when you are in the psychedelic um, space, you get to see yourself being your soul's expression. You get to see yourself in your soul's expression because the guard is down. Okay. I got to see myself at my highest frequency, y'all. It was beautiful in that retreat space. And so my heart was open. There's no judgment. It was completely open. Now, not everybody's like that. For me, because of the work that I've done and the understanding that I had, I knew what I needed to do to stay on that frequency. Because even if you're on psychedelics, your ego is still there, but you have to surrender. The word, y'all, is surrender. We don't understand what surrender means. You have to surrender to it. The medicines are not going to make you do anything that you don't want to do, but you have to surrender. You have to be here now. All this stuff, all this jargon, y'all, we've been learning through spirituality. Oh, surrender. Oh, be here now. Be present. No, all of these things that we've been learning through spirituality is really the tools you bring to psychedelics. And like, give up the judgment, give up control, surrender, be here now. All of those helped me in my plant medicine journey. If I didn't have those things, and I would be like, thank you for my healing. Thank you. Because when I'm going through a hard process in the psychedelics, the thing that help me stay grounded is thank you for my healing. Thank you for my healing. I know that what you're showing me and what I'm feeling right now is a part of my healing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And then also remember, like, I'm going to come back. So don't be afraid. I'm not going to lose my mind. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back. So if you say that, then your mind will allow you to go through places that you couldn't imagine, but you have to remember, I'm going to come back. So it's okay. I can allow this. I can allow. I'm allowing. Like, so all of that stuff that I've been learned over the years is what helped me with my psychedelic journey. So with the opening and the closing of the heart, in order for you to know how to bring that into this dimension, you have to be aware and have the experience of what it feels like when your heart is open. So now that I know what it feels like to be at my soul's expression, and now that I'm aware of what it feels like when my heart is open, now in this dimension, I know when I'm not doing that. It's like I'm aware of it now. Like, oh, okay, all right, my ego is running this. Like for real, for real. It's like I can tell when my ego is running it versus me allowing my soul to come through. Now that was my experience, and that's what has helped me in my life. Is that how do I know where I'm going if I don't even know what it looks like or feels like? How do I know when I'm not doing that? So psychedelics helps me connect to my soul. So now that I know the difference between moving in my soul and moving through my ego. Okay. That's what psychedelics has done for me. And I know that if I continue the psychedelic journey, it'll help me be even more aware of it more so I can understand why people microdose and do those things because it really is it's beautiful. If you've never taken psychedelics before, I tell everybody you need to do it. You just have to do it. Okay. And so Joyce said, I believe that about the food as well. Just eat what you want. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of people don't, and I know a lot of people, some people um might feel uncomfortable about that, but it's really the food is fuel. So even if you are a person want to eat ramen noodles and all that crap, all it's going to do is fuel who you are. So you have to work on your energy, your mind, your emotions. Now, food can affect it. Yes, food can affect it, but not at the way that people think. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that some people, I was talking to my husband about this, and I said, he is a person that values food. So he ain't about to just eat ramen noodles. He ain't about, he needs to have certain foods because it's a value of his. So food is beyond just something you eat. It's a belief system for it. It's a value system for him. Like, okay, like he will not eat honey in a plastic bottle. It has to be a glass bottle. Now, would a plastic bottle do something to him? No, it wouldn't. But based on his values and what he believes, like to him, he feels like it might, you know. So it's also just quality. It's just quality. So there's so many different belief systems that people have around it. But most people that are really successful and got a lot of money, they do not give a damn about food. They do not. You know, Warren Buffett, his favorite restaurant is McDonald's, and Warren Buffett is one of the richest men in the world. Him and Bill Gates eat McDonald's. They love McDonald's, and they're the richest. So that's what I'm saying. It's like I think people like them understand that this don't have anything to do with their success and their discipline and those things. So I just think that you got to understand who you are and make decisions based on that. Now, for me, I would like to think I'm a person that can eat anything, but I cannot. Like sugar really affects me. And I eat it. I'm not gonna sit here and tell y'all I'm not eating it, but I know when I don't eat a lot of sugar, and that's even fruit as well, my body looks amazing, my skin looks amazing, my hormones are like my body just doesn't do well with sugar. And I'm wondering about in my past life, was I a lion or a tiger? Because my body loves fats and protein. My body loves animal foods. It does. It show me that. It's like every time, like it shows me I want animal foods. That's what I like. Um, so yeah, you just have to know your body. But if I'm doing like plant medicines, I will do the vegetarian vegan thing. I will do that because that's what I was taught. But I know that every shaman doesn't believe that. But the shaman that I was under, he believes that. So I just follow the protocol. And then when I'm done, I'll go back to however I was eating. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that is the end of her question. Oh, she said, can you describe the difference between ego and pride? I just think that the ego is your sense of self, and pride could be a part of that if that's a part of your ego. Not everybody is prideful. Like if you have a lot of Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, like a lot of fire energy, Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, those are the energies that tend to be more prideful than the other energies. So, but that's a part of the ego. But then also, pride can mean you take pride in your work. So, pride has two different definitions. But then sometimes that pride can be out of balance, and then you can be too prideful, where it's like you can't humble yourself. But it tends to be more with fire energy that tends to have that type of pride. But then some people look at ego as they're so egotistical, like um like they care about what people think. That's what I think egotistical, like they're so self-promoting. They care about what people think. They care about how they look, like that, to the point where you can be manipulated by that, or you're motivated by that. So you and men tend to be very egotistical. That is a masculine trait. Is male and masculine trait is content to be egotistical. So you want to be aware that, especially if you are a woman and you hold a lot of masculine energy, you might be somewhat egotistical. But you want to be careful with that because you can be manipulated by that as well. Yeah. Yeah, you want to be aware of your energy because a lot of people spend lots of money understanding psychology. So this is why it's so easy to influence people and manipulate them and control them because they study people. They study the energy and they study human behavior. And when you understand it, you can like manipulate people to do what you want them to do because you understand what motivates them. So I tell people, know that about yourself. What is your belief system? What do you value? Okay, what is your energy, your astrological energy? Because these are things that people can manipulate you and control you, but you can even manipulate and control yourself in those things. So you want to be aware of that. Yeah. Okay, y'all. So this is the first Ask Stephanie video, and I will continue it if I get more questions. Again, you can do it on the comments of this live, excuse me, or you can send me an email at justcoolandcurly, uh, justcoolandcurly at gmail.com if you have any questions or need any guidance and support. I am here. So thank you for being here. Bye.